I did a video a few months ago on connectors and how there's so many fun different ways to make different connections. This is all 16 gauge. I recommend 16 gauge for these unless you are skilled in using a thinner gauge. You want some pretty tough gauge here. So I'm just going to cut 1, 2, and 3 inch pieces. And you know what? I'm just going to have fun with this. I'm going to cut them randomly. I have 3 different colors. They're all kind of earth toned. And I'm just going to mix them up. And I don't even know what I'm going to do. I didn't plan this. I didn't practice it. We're just going to see what happens. So you guys can just have fun, see what this does. But then, you know, have fun and make your own. This will make a cool necklace too, I bet. But this is going to be a bracelet today. And use copper-based wire or something just as strong like German silver. Don't use aluminum, please. I almost never use aluminum. There's some places for it. Not when you want something to have a lot of strength. If you hammer the aluminum, that can give it strength. But in this case, something strong. Like I said, I don't even know what I'm doing. What kind of connectors am I going to make? Who knows? I'm just going to have fun. I'll make some monstrosities. That should be fun. The only rule is tuck in these sharp ends. Either turn them into a swirl or find a little crevice to shove them in where you know they're never going to get accidentally knocked out, because that would be bad. That's the only rule. And if you do tuck them in a swirl, make sure they're tight in that swirl. Make sure, rub it like this, make sure you don't feel a sharpness. If you do, crimping it, not crimping it, squeezing it with the pliers often will get it pretty secure in there so it's not sticking out to scratch anyone. What is that? That's nonsense. Let's keep making more. Now we just add jump rings and attach them any way we want. Okay, an easy way to do this is just to first take some and line them up. I like to put the bigger ones in the middle, but I like to alternate the colors. But, you know, other than that, we're just sticking them in any which way we feel like. Until we feel like we have a good bracelet size. And then get your jump rings, start linking them together. You can use any size, color, however you want to do it. You can double them up or you can just put one in between. Make sure they're laying pretty flat the way that you want. And don't worry if it's too long, because you can clasp this clasp into a different part. And you don't have to use a lobster clasp. You can make your own clasp. You can just make a hook and, you know, make a cool hook and just wrap it around and then pinch it to close it up. That's like a makeshift clasp you can do with more of the 16 gauge. But once you get one strand like this, then we're going to pick it up and hang it. Just hook it on anywhere where it can dangle straight down, and I just happen to have this board that has a bunch of screws in it, so I just linked it on the first one, and now I have these all hanging straight down like this, and now I can add another layer and make sure that the layer is gonna, you know, line up flat with this first layer. Remember to always open your jump rings sideways like that. And then when you close them, you might need to overshoot a little bit and just kind of wiggle it in. Get it really tight. Make sure it's not scratching. That's me being a perfectionist. You don't have to be that perfect, but it's a good habit to get into. And look what comes from literally not planning and just winging it. I ended up with, instead of making this doubly long, like layered like that, it ended up stretching out. I said, wait a minute, that's a necklace. It's kind of a choker. And with the leftover links, I have another bracelet. So here's your options. You could go like this. You could clasp this in here, make it a double bracelet and clasp it again like that. Triple if you want to throw this one on top. Boom. You could put extra jump rings and make it a definite double bracelet and have these guys layered on top of each other. That was my original plan. Okay? Or you could just make it a choker for someone. Or it could be both. And here's a really cool fact that I learned. For most people, a choker is exactly twice the length of their wrist, of the circumference of their wrist. So twice around their wrist is going to be the same length as once around their neck. So to make it a little more comfortable, so it's not like really choking, you could put a couple extra jump rings. But so many options here. Super fun. And look at all these cool shapes. You don't have to make each one different. You can come up with shapes that you really like and just, you know, multiply them, or you can alternate 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 of 3 different shapes. It's just endless fun. You can have, and the coolest thing of all is you'll have bracelets and necklaces that nobody else has. Do you see this anywhere else? Do you see this in a department store? Let's see how they look on someone. One more thing I would say, if you do want it, if you have some big flat pieces and you want them to bend around the wrist better, if you think it's definitely a bracelet, you can take your pliers and gently but firmly bend the piece into more of a curve, the flat part, so it lays flat over the wrist. If you do that, I suggest you decide which is the front, which is going to face out of each piece. And as you're bending it, I would put 2 or 3 extra jump rings because that'll keep it from flipping. Because once you have a nice bend in there, if it flips, then it looks weirder than ever. So hopefully you know what I mean. You know, give it little curves so if you put it over a wrist, it bends evenly.